Hey guys, I'm Brian.
And I'm Terry.
And welcome back to the Forest Farm Project. I know in the last few videos we told you, hey, we're going to be rocking and rolling and just getting a lot done and doing a ton of videos.
And we thought we were.
Yeah, it didn't go as planned, as everything has happened with this project.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
Well, the things we've done have worked out. The things we've hired people to do, people don't do what you say unless you stay on them the whole time.
Yeah.
At least from our experience, it's not been good.
As you guys know, we had the footings dug out and we hired a company to do that. Everybody's been so busy, there's so much work. A lot of companies are hiring basically B crews to fill in for the smaller work.
We've been trying to get the best company in the area, and they kept being too busy, and he kept putting us off for a year and a half. Well, then he finally said, look, I just can't do it. He just don't have time for small-time people like us. He does big projects, multi-million-dollar houses and big commercial and industrial stuff.
Yeah.
So he just couldn't get to us. He was going to be expensive, but we wanted it right.
Yeah.
We wanted it exactly right. So I asked him about this other crew that is actually right in the same area as him, and he said, oh yeah, they're real good. They won't be quite as refined as me, but they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, that guy apparently got busy as well, and he's like, yeah, I can do it. I got another crew now. Well, no, he didn't actually say he had another crew. He said
he said he could do it.
He said he could do it.
He said we'll have it done in a week. We had rain coming, and that week would have been perfect.
Right.
We would have had both footings and foundations in and poured and perfect.
We'd be building.
We'd be building right now. However, after day one of them digging, they dug both. It started raining at the tail end of when they were digging mine. They dug Mom and Dad's first, and they started digging mine. The last half of the back wall and the entire left side wall of my house, it was raining. So he put it into high gear. Well, any of you that have driven a Mini X know you can dig forward, or you can turn the bucket sideways and dig looking out the side. He dug looking out the side, so everything was kind of sawtoothed. And then, because he got in a hurry, we'll show you in a minute, the left wall of my house looks like a banana.
Yeah, curved walls are pretty cool when they're designed that way, but you don't want
no.
all this.
And after seeing that, we pulled out the tape measures and started measuring everything. Turns out my back wall is 9 inches longer than my front. My house is about 6 inches out of square. My front porch is 7 inches off center of my front of my house that was supposed to be centered on my house, which would throw off all of my windows and my door and make it look like crap.
Yeah.
So,
long story short, things aren't exactly the way they should be.
No.
And they told us give us one line, the back wall, pin 2 corners, far end of the house. It's a rectangle house. So we pinned from the back corner of the garage to the back corner of the house. They've got a computer. All they had to do is set it up out here. It's a computerized transit, and it pinpoints every spot. Likely they had it pinpointed properly. The guy digging didn't dig it properly.
Didn't have a clue what he was doing, apparently.
No. And what happened was, I'm sure what's happened, the guy that was going to come do it, he sent his B crew, the new crew, because he's so busy, he got tired of turning down work. He hired a new crew. These guys didn't know what they're doing. They claim they've been together all along, but when I talked to the guy that was going to come do it, that's supposed to do it, there's a reputable guy that he does colleges and stuff. He does some big stuff around here.
Yeah.
Well, there's no way he could be bad himself, but he said they use the aluminum frames, and they got 1 foot forms, 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, whatever you want. They can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
This other guy's like, oh, I'm going to use 4 foot wooden panels. I said, wait a minute, I thought you had aluminum frames. No, we use wooden panels. And then I'm like, so what sizes are they? He said, they're all 4 foot. I said, but some of my walls are like going to be a 2 foot increment, not a 4, 8, 12, whatever. He said, well, we just reached down in there and screed it out. We'll get it pretty level. And I'm not going to have that.
No, we're not going to have pretty level and pretty square and pretty round, apparently.
Yeah.
So what we're doing today is we are
what they did, them pins don't mean squat because they already dug the holes. So now we're going to go back to what we should have done originally, put up our batter boards.
We're going to pull strings,
square it up, find which walls are the closest to being right, and then we're going to have to literally dig all the other spots out.
We're going to have to dig it all by hand to square everything up because we don't want to bring machinery in here and tear everything up again, because the way they dug it, the walls have been crumbling. When it rained, I figured up, based on the size of the footers and how much water was in here, we bucketed roughly 700 gallons of water out of each footing and then dug all the mud out, and it rained again. Now,
they dug 2 trenches to get the water out of here, but the problem is they dug it where our water, this is a slope, 1 foot and 30.
It's a foot for 30 drop.
Yeah, and so we had everything rounded around the house so that it would run away from it. Their trench was dug where the water runs, and it went uphill so that it filled this the
He filled my
footings up.
footer up with water.
Instead of draining it out, he filled it up. So we come out here and dug one by hand to get that out, and mine too. Both of them got filled. I mean,
Yeah,
incompetence.
just to say the least. So
Make sure you're not getting the B team if you hire somebody.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So what we're doing today is we're going to set up batter boards and show you how we're doing that. And we're not doing your typical. A lot of people do like a tricorn. They'll do 3 posts and then run 8-foot 2-bys. Since our holes are already dug, we know roughly where they need to be. We don't need to have an 8-foot span to work with.
We're within inches.
Yeah.
But
So we're just going to do 2-foot, and we've got a 16-inch trench. So we're going to go 2-foot boards roughly, except we'll have to straddle trenches. We're going to go 3 feet or so.
Yeah.
And then we'll get all that squared up and show you what we're doing.
yeah, we're just gonna have to go back old
We're
school.
cobbling and fixing.
And we're doing batter boards to check if it's square rather than to
Yeah.
get it square.
Yeah.
Which we know it's not. We're gonna have to fix some stuff, but we'll
Yeah.
get it done.
That's enough yapping. Let's get to work and show you guys how we're going to do this.
Yeah, we don't know, but we're gonna figure it out.
It'll look better than they did.
Oh yeah, yeah. So as you can see, this wall kind of does like a banana right here. And you know, we can't have that. We measured where the center of the wall was here and down there, put this on it, it's off, it's way off. So this is not it, this is a center. This was a pin we drove for pouring concrete before we decided we just got to fix all this. But anyway, it's pretty obvious that wall is like a banana. Same thing down on that end. So first off, guys, if you're going to do a transit and you're going to put in your batter boards and whatnot, you want to pick the highest point first, or at least we did. And we want to keep that board that we're going to use for pulling our string on as low as possible, because if you go really high here, when you get down on the low side of the house, you're going to be way off the ground. So I'd rather keep that end as low as possible. In order to do that, I'm going to keep this end down by the ground. I don't see that on construction jobs. Most of these guys have them way up in the air. We're going to do it our way. Plus it saves material. Yeah, it saves us material, definitely. So anyway, I've got this set, the transit's there, and cameraman, you in the way just a little bit. Step back just a little bit. Okay. There you go. It's beeping, a double beep. That means I'm on target. So we've got this one. It's only 4 inches off the ground right here. And we were like 6 inches there, and what about a foot up there?
Foot in the middle.
On the lower side, what was the highest point?
A little over 3 feet. So with starting on the high side like this being around 4 inches, our lowest one, our lower side with our highest stakes are right around 3 feet. Had we gone 2 feet here, the stakes would be 5 feet on the other end. Not only is that a waste of material, it's kind of hard to drive a stake in the ground that's 5 foot tall and you got a foot or foot and a half of stake going in the ground.
So it's 6.5, 7 foot. You're up on a ladder.
We had to do that on Mom and Dad's house because they've got a big drop off. Well, those stakes sticking out of the ground, the longest one is 80 inches tall.
That's almost 8 foot. I'm just getting close.
We had
when you add the other.
Yeah, we had an 8-foot 2x4 that we had to drive in the ground, and we had to get on a ladder to drive 6 of those just about that long.
Mm-hmm.
That's
fun.
a nightmare.
Yeah.
So
a lot of work.
If we can keep these all shorter, it's much better.
Makes it easier on us, definitely.
Yeah. And with this, you want to have a flat, basically spider web of strings running. You don't want it angled.
Yeah, definitely. If you think about a triangle, if I go in a straight line from this stake to that stake, that's my shortest distance. If that stake's not level with this stake and it's down lower, then my string's going to be running downhill. You got a straight line, or you got this line going downhill. That line going downhill to the same distance is going to be longer because it's going downhill. So you got to form a grid above your foundation, not with the contour of the land, but flat with the earth, level all the way around. So you can't have it dropping off. The strings will measure longer, and you're either going to have your house too short because you can get a longer measurement in a shorter distance than what it really is.
Yeah.
So
you need a good level square setup.
Right.
And that's where a transit really comes in handy. It's
It
gonna help
does.
us lay all this off properly. We've already got all our stake locations laid out. We've got our measurements. So our next step is just go and cut all the stakes.
we're building 2 houses. We're going to build a shop, a bigger one. We're going to build a barn, a couple outbuildings. We're going to try and do a small lake out here. All of it, this transit's going to come in handy. We bought it. You can go rent one if you're just doing one project or a couple small projects.
This was $400, I think.
$450.
Yeah. So really, for all the work we're doing, it's saving us a lot of time and effort.
And it's a Bosch. I don't know what the model is. I don't have it on here.
Yeah, I'll link what model transit it is. It's the this,
GR8C.
well, no, that's
Professional. Okay, the stick.
that's this. Yeah. I'll link the set in the description below for you guys. We got it at Lowe's.
Yeah,
So,
and it works great.
yeah, it works really well.
Whoop.
Yeah, it was beeping. Okay. Well, let's get to cutting some steaks.
Let's do it.
One thing that always helps when you're doing something like this is a pattern.
Yeah.
Patterns are invaluable.
My grandpa was a jack of all trades, very good carpenter, cabinet builder, fixed cars, you name it. And he taught me a lot. He always said, if you're going to do any repetitive task, make a jig.
Yep.
Whatever it is. If it's positioning something over and over and over, make a jig. In this instance, we're going to be cutting a whole bunch of legs that need that V shape. Why go in there and measure with a square or whatever, you know, and try and get that same angle every time? Make one the way you want it, lay it on every board you're going to cut, make a jig.
Yeah, we're good to go. So that's what we're going to do. And what we've done is, for instance, if your soil is really soft, you might want a really lot of wood in the ground because it's going to move really easily.
Yeah, when you pull strings between these posts, that's how you form your grid.
Yeah.
You pull them strings tight, really tight, so that they don't sag in the middle.
Yeah.
Well, when you do that, you're putting a lot of pressure on these boards, and if they're sticking 2-3 feet off the ground, a 2x4 will flex.
Yep.
So they're going to bend on you, and you don't want that to happen because you're going to have to keep on repositioning the strings. So you want to go pretty deep in soft soil because it'll move.
We've got hard red clay here, so we're going to go about 16 inches in the soil. It's going to be plenty, and we don't have a really long span. Our longest span is 76 feet, and the rest of them are 30 feet.
Yeah, and we're going to go the 30-foot distance first.
Yep.
And then run the 76 feet over top of that.
Yeah.
So if they do sag a little, they're going to lay on them 30-foot strings. They're going to be a lot tighter. It'll keep the whole grid
help keep it
more
elevated,
even.
more square.
Yeah, yeah.
And the way we're doing these is, say for instance, we've got a 20. Our measurement is 20 inches off the ground. What we're doing, if your measurement's 20 inches off the ground, we've got to accommodate a 2x4 at that 20-inch point. So you've got to be sure to account for that 3.5 inches for that 2x4. Then you want to accommodate for however much you have to add in the ground. So we just went 18 inches to be safe. We know we're going a couple inches high, but that's perfectly fine. We'll cut off what we don't need because it's going to mushroom on top anyway. We've got such hard soil and rocky soil, these things are going to get busted up on top, there's no question.
Yeah, when you hit them with a sledgehammer, they tend to break up a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially when you're beat on them like he does.
I have no patience. I want them in the ground now or yesterday.
Yeah.
No later.
So we'd come up there and say, from that point, we'll cut the point on them first.
Yeah.
Then we want 16 inches.
18.
18?
Yeah, we're going 18 for our depth.
You just said 16, but we'll go 18. So there's your 18 inches. And then we want to add, say it was a 20 inch, that'd be 38 inches.
Yep.
That'd be the height of it. And we'd cut it off at 38 inches. This one happens to be 48 for something else, but we're just giving you an example.
Yeah.
And then when we did that, if we're cutting it at, we want 18 inches in the ground, then we'll come in here.
We'll come back in and make a line across so we have a reference point. When we're burying, we know where to stop.
Yeah, you start driving it in the ground, and when you drive it up, you get to that point, you know, okay, that's where we want it to be. So some of you might be looking at this and saying, these guys don't know what they're doing. Bingo.
We have no clue what we're doing, but we're getting it done, and it's going to be square when we get done.
Right. We'll get them in the ground. And
let's put it this way.
Right.
The professionals came out here to dig a hole in the ground. Dig a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
And it's crooked and in the wrong place.
Yeah, it looks like a banana.
So I think we can do that at least.
Yeah. We'll get it straightened out.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't necessarily a professional method. You probably want to look at somebody else if you want to see what a professional does. But if you're a dummy like us, this might be the video for you. Yeah. We'll get it done. Yeah. It's going to work.
Everything we do works out, just takes a little while.
Yes, sir.
We've only been on this for 5 years.
Not the houses. We're just moving dirt for 5 years and trees.
All right, let's cut some wood.
Yep. So we're going to take our pattern and repeat this process real quick like.
I got the pencil.
Jim got pencil. Hold on. Okay.
Come on, old man. You got your hand in my way.
Sorry.
I'll tell you what, I love that Milwaukee circular saw.
It does a great job. Does an awesome job. If I can just get this thing lined up. Those don't have to be perfect, it's just something to get it in the ground.
That's it.
I keep wanting to pull that up, but I don't need to.
There you go. Alrighty.
We're going to go ahead and cut the rest of them, and then we'll show you the process for installing, but we're not going to film and bore you with this. Same process over and over. We're just going to cut stakes, get them ready, and then drive them in the ground. All right, guys, so we're going to drive our first stakes. We've got them all cut now, and if you were doing this for a house that didn't have these footings dug already, you'd probably want 6-8 foot wide batter boards on each corner, because you wouldn't know exactly where's my string going to end up, because sometimes you think you're square and then you get in there and you start pulling your strings and you're way off. But the holes are already here. They're close, they're just not quite right. They just got a little banana shape to them. We got to clean the sides up. We want to make sure we're cleaning the right places up. All we need is something a little wider. Our hole's like 16 inches, so we're going with 24 inches, straddling that hole with these, and then the stakes, and then we'll screw this board to them, pull our string down through there, and wherever we need to move it is going to be within this 2 foot range. So we don't need a great big batter board, because we're just trying to fix the error they made. Now, this isn't exactly rocket science. It doesn't have to be perfectly square to the hole as far as these stakes. And when you start driving them, if you hit a rock or a root down there from an old
just
stump,
a hard spot in the soil.
Yeah, they'll twist, they'll lean, they'll tilt. You're not going to get them to go perfectly straight, more than likely. Not in our soil. You might in some softer soil.
It's driving him crazy. He wants them perfect.
I like things 100% perfect. This don't matter. It's not rocket science. Ultimately, this board needs to be up here somewhere and at the proper level. That's all that's important. So that it's level all the way around with all the other ones. So when we pull a string, we can form a square that represents the footprint of this house. And that's all we're working towards. So these boards, they could be leaning like that and like this. As long as we get this on there straight and we can pull our string across, we're good to go.
Yeah. So
right.
Roughly center that on this flag. We dropped a flag at each location so we know roughly where the center of each of these holes and boards is going to be.
Okay.
Now, as much as I'd love to just pound these things down in the ground. They will split on you. Patience is a virtue here. Go easy.
Yep. And until he gets started good, he kind of taps on them, and I'm just going to hold it straight. Hopefully we can keep it fairly level.
He's got to do all he can to make sure they are perfectly square and level, but
they'll be close. If you don't start out with them straight, they are all over the place. Watch your mark over there. A little more.
There.
That's it.
That's good. Next one.
My house, none of them went that fast. Every one, it took us 15 minutes.
Yeah, every one on his house was easily a 1/16 of an inch per hard swing.
Yeah. The ground's a little harder down there.
Yeah.
These things went like butter.
Loving it.
Okay. Get close to 24 inches there. Hold on. Gotta make sure I'm straight. Look at that.
Good.
Right about there. Right
Ready?
about there. Yeah, go ahead.
Where's my line?
Keep going.
Okay.
You're getting close. There it is. So later we're going to screw this down right here. We'll get it level, and then we'll cut these off wherever we need to. So this video is getting a little longer than we expected.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here, and this is really, the second time for us doing any of this, but that's the gist of getting these stakes in the ground, and we're going to finish up getting all these in the ground, and we're not going to bore you with doing that. We're just driving stakes in the ground. That's all.
Same as we did. Drive it to the line. Drive it to the line.
So we're going to end it now, and then we'll come back next time, and we're going to show you guys how we get these blocks mounted to the stakes, and then how we get our strings lined up and get everything leveled out.
And we'll use a transit and get these things so that they're all on one plane, as we said before. They've got to be level all the way around here.
Yeah.
So when you pull your strings and make your square or rectangles or whatever, that they're all on the same plane. If you let one string be high here and that one's 2 foot low down there, that's going to be a longer distance than if it's up level. It's just like a triangle. You go to the long side or you go short side to the same plane.
That's it.
So
we're not moving trees and dirt around anymore. We're actually putting kind of trees back in the ground.
it's wood. It's a start.
It's a start. This is progress.
But we still got dirt to move.
Yeah, we got dirt to move, but once we get concrete in, then
We're going to make our own rock too.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yep.
Then we start with the wood.
There we go.
Finally.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're finally getting there. And like we said, we've had, out of the last 50 days, we've probably had 35 or 40 that had rain.
Yeah, we
it's
did.
Just a little here and a little there, or just it'll jump in for an hour and a half, be torrential downpour, and it's a mud pit out here.
Yeah, but I'd say the last 7 months, it's been really disappointing that we couldn't get things done the way we wanted. Off and on, things just keep getting in the way. COVID-19, you name it.
Yeah.
But 7 months ago, almost 8 months now, my little grandbaby was born.
Yep.
His little boy. And we've been keeping him most days.
We've had a lot of fun with him, and because of this break, we've pursued some new avenues in our video and photography business, and that's taken off like wildfire.
We approached people that we thought we'll never get to until we get big, and they're like, sure, we'd love to work with you. So
it's happening. So
yeah.
It's been a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, it was unexpected. We were going to just be mostly out of work. We still got some clients we'll always work for, but we were going to be mostly out of work during this process. We got a lot of work now.
Yeah,
but it's good. It's money.
Yeah,
you know.
It's doing good. So we're excited, and we're excited to get started on this. So we'll let you guys run. We're going to finish this up, and then we'll come back next time and show you how we get all the boards and strings in.
See you next time.
Have a good one, guys.